job being preachers in all these different secular churches. And that also he would take him for his friend and trust him with affairs. So I'm going to set you up, man. You just got to be like the heathen, eat some pork. But when the young man, it's the youngest son, would in no case hearken unto him, the king called his mother and exhorted her that she would counsel the young man to save his life. So he called the mother and said, hey, counsel the young man. Tell him I'll make him rich and famous. I'm going to give him affairs here. He's going to be somebody in my kingdom. And when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. So I'm going to counsel him. But she, bowing herself toward him, laughing the cruel tyrant to scorn, spake in her country language on this matter. O my son, have pity upon me that bare thee 9 months in my womb. It's the youngest son. And gave thee suck 3 years. 3 years. And nourished thee, and brought thee up unto this age, and endured the troubles of education. I beseech thee, my son, look upon the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, and consider that the Most High made them of things that were not, and so was mankind made likewise. Fear not this tormentor. She's speaking in our language of Hebrew. But being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brethren. While she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, whom wait ye for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto our fathers by Moses. We read it. 2 verses. Leviticus, the 11th chapter, the 7th and 8th verse. And thou, that hast been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews, shall not escape the hands of the Most High. You let them know, hey, this is the youngest brother. Let them know, hey, you ain't going to escape the hands of the Most High. For we suffer because of our sins, see? We suffer because of our sins. That's not claiming to be righteous. He said they being tormented because of them breaking the laws of the Most High. That's what sin is, a transgression of the Most High's laws. He said we suffer because of our sins. And though the living Most High power be angry with us a little while, for our chastening and correction, yet shall he be at one again with his servants, who are the 12 tribes of Israel. But thou, O righteousness man, O wretched, profane man, O without the Most High in your spirit ever at all, man, and of all other most wicked of your nation, and those that side with you. Be not lifted up, don't be prideful without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain hopes, lifting up thy hand against the servant of the Most High. But thou hast not yet escaped the judgment of Almighty power, who seeth all things. Remember, his eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of man, even the secret parts. For our brethren, who now have suffered a short pain, are dead under Most High's covenant of everlasting life. But thou, through the judgment of the Most High, shall receive just punishment for thy pride. Remember, there's going to be great miseries in this last days because of great pride. But I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers. Read you again. But I, this is the last brother. But I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, beseeching the Most High that he would speedily be merciful unto our nation, and that though by torments and plagues may have confessed that he alone is the Most High, and that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon all our nation, may cease. Then the king, being in a rage, handled him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was mocked. So this man died undefiled, and put his whole trust in the Most High. So this man, the last son that she had, died undefiled. You hear that? Died undefiled, and put his whole trust in the Most High. Last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feast and the extreme tortures. Man, it's cold. I just wanted to go through that because, you know, we're looking at Willie Lynch, what we read in that, and looking at what it is that we're going through and have been through, and looking at these curses, going back to Deuteronomy 28th chapter. It only befalls certain people, that's us. What other nation can say they treated that bad, hated that bad? Only us, y'all. Only us. We the 12 tribes of Israel. Look at Deuteronomy 28. These are the curses that befell we as the 12 tribes of Israel. Verse 36. The Most High shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. See, that's these religions. Wood and stone. Christianity's wood. You got Islam dealing with the cobblestone, and Buddha, you name it. Verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment and a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Most High shall lead thee. And that's where we at. You know, we call all kind of names. I don't even care to, you know, repeat the names that we call as bywords and so forth. He said his word that gonna go out. Boy, said we're gonna go to these places scattered amongst all these nations and serve other gods, other idols, wood and stone, that we didn't know nothing about. Jump at verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, as we read about them, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. No, but they tell us that we not under the law. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, a sign and a wonder. Why is this happening to this people? Pointing out who we are, without a shadow of a doubt, for a sign and a wonder. Because thou servest not the Most High thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. That's why the Most High said in 1 John 5 and 3. 1 John 5 and 3. Said, for this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So he's supposed to be sad in doing what he say do, his rules and regulations. That's why it says we didn't take joy in keeping his commandments, doing what he say do. He's supposed to feel good in doing what's right behind the, before the Most High. You want to be blessed, but yet still you want to do whatever you want to do and disrespect him and offend him. We done did this enough, man. It's time to come out of that. Deuteronomy 28 and 54. Going into the Willie Lynch. So that the man that is tender among you, let me say you got to pit the age against the young, the light against the dark, the ones that live in a certain plantation against the ones that live in another plantation. Like you live on the hill, you better than the ones that live in the bottom. all of this, so that the man that is tender among you, that's caring for his brother, and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother. Hear that? That's why you got gangs, you got us killing each other. Evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom. Why there's so many divorces and so forth. And toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. While you see a lot of women raising their children by themselves. Part of the curses. Men having these babies and leaving the woman. And the children. So that he will not give to any of them. So like that's all I want on that. I want to go to 55. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat. Gonna hold it back in the siege. We had to eat our children. Don't think it's something funny. They say that, hey, allegedly, McDonald's, a lot of these places dealing with people that's food of flesh of people. So that he, allegedly, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat. Hear that? Because he have nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. This is what it says. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground, for delicateness and tenderness. You hear that? You women that's walking around barefooted now? He said that the tender and delicate woman, a woman was so tender and delicate that they would not even set the sole of her foot upon the ground for tenderness, for delicateness and tenderness. You didn't have to go to no, I don't know what they call the places where y'all go to get y'all feet done, but your feet were so delicate, you didn't get all these things, wasn't rough, no roughness about your feet. It was so, they would say the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground. Women barely, I mean, not your natural feet. Without no socks, no. You would have said, set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. For her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom. The women gonna be evil toward the husband, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. Have attitudes. And toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, her babies. And toward her children which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. Have to reach over and starve and eat your children. It wasn't cooked. Now, wow. This is what happened to us. This happened to us. If thou would not observe to do all the words of this law that you taught that you're not under, you go into these secular worldly churches that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name. Fear means to be afraid, to be scared of. This glorious and fearful name, the Most High thy power. Then the Most High will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed are children, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sicknesses, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Look at all these diseases that they have right now. And more in the making. You got diseases that's no cure for. Venereal diseases and all kind of plagues. Now they talking about they got polio coming back. They got a new disease coming out of Florida. And they say there's a new one coming out of China. Besides what we're dealing with now. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Most High bring upon thee until thou be destroyed You hear what he said? Until you be destroyed. That's us. Because we didn't want to follow his laws, statutes, commandments. So we had to endure this. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude. You hear that? We are like the stars of heaven for multitude. And the sand of the sea also, it says in other scriptures. Because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Most High, thy power. We wouldn't obey the voice of the Most High, our power. And it shall come to pass that as the Most High rejoices over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Most High will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, to nothing. And ye shall be plucked from off the land that we read about in Baruch the 4th chapter. The land is talking to us. When we plucked off the land that the Most High gave us, whether thou goest to possess it. Let us know. You're going to be taken off the land that you're going to possess. And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods. Mind you, all that torture that we just read about, you had wicked Israelites that was right down with the Edomites and doing what they did. Always. You got Sambos that's down with the enemy. And you got their own people that's down, not down with them and do what they doing. They feel a certain way. Know that they wicked. Elite, I'm talking about right now. And the things that they're doing and haven't done. And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even to the other. And there, when you go amongst these nations, thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. That's these different religions. That's not keeping the moral laws, civil laws, dietary laws, ceremonial laws. Or the Most High that he wrote with his finger. I can't say it enough to you. The work of the Most High. And among all these nations shalt thou find no ease. Hear that? You're going to find no ease. You just shall the sole of thy foot have rest. Or sometimes your feet be hurting, boy. You don't be working so hard, feet be hurting. Feet don't have no rest. But the Most High shall give thee there a trembling heart and a failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. Sad all the time. I mean, you go out your house, you don't know if you're going to make it back or not. You don't know, you got children, you don't know if they go out there and do whatever they're doing, they're going to make it back or not. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would the Most High it were evening. The morning which it was evening. And at the evening thou shalt say, would the Most High it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherein thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. With all the things that we know that's going on in this earth, but that fear means to be afraid. You understand that? When it comes to fear of the Most High, it means something different. Not to be afraid and scared of him. You better ask somebody. The last curse, verse 68. Now you tell me this applies to what nation beside us? And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again. Right? Now when you look at the definition of Egypt in Exodus 20:2, what does Egypt mean there? Because you know the first time we walked into Egypt. Exodus 20:2. I am the Most High thy power. You notice he keeps saying your power? Which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. All 12 tribes went into Egypt and was enslaved in Egypt and came out of Egypt. When he said, I am the Most High, thy power, your power. Yasharallah, 12 tribes of Israel, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. What does Egypt mean? Out of the house of bondage. So Egypt means bondage, captivity, and slavery. So when you go to back to Deuteronomy 28:68, it said, the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt, which means captivity, slavery, and bondage. How? Again, how? With ships. Now, what people was brought into slave ships for hundreds of years, if thou can say, besides us? proving we the Israelites. By the way where I spake unto thee, with Moses speaking to us there, thou shalt see it no more again. So you're going to see this no more again. As a nation, we ain't been brought back to our homeland. That's why the Most High said He's going to plant us there. Most High will, and we worthy. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there, when you go on these ships, ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Not your friends, but to your enemies. For bondmen, slave men, and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you. Now, it don't make no sense to think that the things that I've seen that these people have written pertaining to this scripture here. Let me see if I can find one for you. What it says in some of these Bibles. I had one that was sent to me that was way out there. It was like crazy. What kind of knowledge they have. Hold on. Bear with me. Try some other way. That's not what I want to do. I want to read this. Hopefully I can find it. It's oh, here, let me see this. Oh, here it is. This from the Living Bible. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 28:68 again. It says, and the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt, meaning captivity, slavery, and bondage, again another time with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold. It's telling you, you're going to be sold unto your enemies. So we were sold on auction blocks. For bondmen, slave men, and bondwomen. Slave women. No man shall buy you. Buy is an old Quaker word, which means to save or redeem from one condition to another condition, okay? No man's going to do that. Verse 29 tells you that. So now, this is from the Living Bible. Deuteronomy 28:68. Check this out. It says, then the, I don't like to use that word, L-O-R-D. Then the Most High will send you back to Egypt in ships. A journey I promise you would never need to make again. And there you will offer to sell yourselves to your enemies as slaves, but no one will even want to buy you. Now, come on now. I remember reading this to some 10-year-old, I think it was from 9 to 11-year-olds in Watts. I was teaching them. They were the main ones that was really observing the truth. I have some adults there, but the children, they sent their children there to, I guess, to be babysitted, but they were really observing the truth on a real level. And they heard this, and they laughed so hard, they said, oh, it make no sense. We're going to offer ourselves up to be slaves. Ain't nobody going to buy us. But let me read you again, so you, just in case. It's the Living Bible. Y'all talking about the Bible ain't been tampered with. This is the Living Bible. Listen what it says. Then the Most High will send you back to Egypt in ships, a journey I promise you would never need to make again. And there you will offer to sell yourselves to your enemies as slaves, but no one will even want to buy you. That's something. When that happened? Let me see, I got another one here. something similar. Because you heard it says, it says, the King James Version say, and there ye shall be sold. You gonna be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. Let's see what it says here. It's Jehovah's Witness Bible. Deuteronomy 28:68. And Jehovah will certainly bring you back to Egypt by ships, by the way about which I have said to you. You will never see it again. And you will have to sell yourselves there to your enemies as slave men and manservants, but there will be no buyer. The same thing. The other one, the Living Bible, is worse though. Say nobody will even want to buy you. Come on now. Are you serious? Beautiful, we are the baddest women in the world. Are you serious? That would cancel out prostitution, wouldn't it? You serious? Come on now. That's why I say when people reinterpret the Bibles, they read that or whatever. I don't know if they read it or not. Most people don't read it, just listen to their preacher. Say whatever he want to say, bring it to the table. Did you see that? What people went into captivity, slavery, and bondage on slave ships if it's not us, if we not the Israelites, if thou can say. And let's go back to the land talking to us in Baruch, the 4th chapter. Because we got to look at all this and make sure that, you know, you're not caught up in being like they would have you to be, as the wicked Israelites were, and being Edomanized. And being Edomatized. That's their multitude of sorceries and multitude of witchcrafts being Edomatized. Gotta add that one. Yeah, let me write it down. I don't have that one. So, Baruch, the 4th chapter, and let's look at verse 6. You were sold to the nations. This is the land talking to us, the land of Israel talking to us. You were sold to the nations not for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath. You was delivered unto the enemies, like we just read in Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again, captive slavery and bondage again with ships. By the way where I speak unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there, when we go on these ships, you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. Okay? So you were sold unto the, delivered unto the enemies, for you provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High. You hear that? Sacrifice unto devils and not to the Most High. Okay, now let's go to Psalms. So we sacrifice to devils and not to the Most High. The Most High told us in Jeremiah. He told us in Jeremiah 10:2. He said, "Learn not the way of the heathen." But here we are. We sacrificing the devils, right? Go to Psalms 106. Psalms 106 and 37. Yeah, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. You hear that? This is what we did. Yeah, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works and went a-whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of the Most High kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance. And he gave them into the hand of the heathen, like we just read about the last time we got to go on slavery, on slave ships. And they that hated them, hear that? Not loved us, but hated us, ruled over them. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. That's what we called the so-called white man massa in Hebrew, which means oppressor. We could say master. No, we said massa. Verse 35, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols, which was a snare unto them. You see? That's why even 1 Corinthians, that's the Old Testament, okay? 1 Corinthians 10, 20 and 21. 1 Corinthians 10 and 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice or worship, they sacrifice to devils. That's why he said, learn not the way of the heathen. We call them Gentiles, these nations outside of the 12 tribes of Israel. Say, but I say that the things that which the Gentiles sacrifice or worship, they sacrifice or worship to devils and not to the Most High, because the Most High, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. Listen for that. If you listen for it, you should hear that. That they're part of the 12 tribes of Israel. That's what the Most High say it is. He say that's his name forever and immortal to all generations. You can't go wrong with that. And myself shall identify him as the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Acts 3:13 says the power of our fathers, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils. Y'all got to consider this. You cannot drink the cup of the Most High and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Most High's table and of the table of devils. You got to think about it. Because they the ones set you up to be able to think the way you think, believe the way you believe. Their curriculum in the education system, and the education goes along with their religions. Or you should be able to tell me that your religion is following the Most High. Y'all talking about God. What God you talking about? All the nations' gods are idols. Psalm 96 and 5. Who you talking about when you say that? Y'all using that loosely, but don't y'all realize there's many? The Arabs had a God for every day until they was introduced to us, the Israelites. Baruch, the 4th chapter, and verse 8. Ye have forgotten the everlasting power that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you. Talking to us. The land is talking to us, we the children of Israel, because we done became Edomanized. We done became Edomatized by the sorceries and witchcrafts and spells. Can't really see anything, can't become. We were very analytical thinkers. But now, just a bunch of robots and robotees for them. They ain't got to be around us. But you still operating like they right there telling you what to do. That's some witchcraft. That's some sorcery. I can't say witchcraft and sorcery. It's a multitude of sorceries, it says. Abundance of spells that's on our people that have you dumbed down, destroyed for lack of knowledge, not wanting to do what you got to do to be saved from your enemies and from the hand of all that hate you. When they come for you, they ain't gonna care about nobody here. Well, what's the Most High have said is gonna happen. And all you that think that, okay, well, you're gonna go over there with them, you're going to find out whether they for you or not. You better, Most High already told you. We went to Ecclesiastes 12 and 10. You need to read it again for yourself. You know, these things are remembered in what it is that this story is being told through the scriptures. You better listen and pay attention. Because I hear what's being said. Baruch 4 and 8 again. Ye have forgotten the everlasting power. And what does the everlasting power give us? His laws, statute, commandments, his rules and regulations that you think that you ain't got to be following when he's going to burn you up because of it. He's going to melt you, he said, if you don't want to keep his laws, statute, commandments. And it's just a crying to the Most High when he done told you, I thought enough of you to call you, to allow you to learn what you're supposed to learn to please me, and you trying to find some other way. You got your own power. It ain't the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't care if you're Israelite or not. When you going your own way, hey, You lean on your own understanding, it ain't from him. It better be according to what this word is saying. Look, it says, ye have forgotten the everlasting power, verse 8 of Baruch, the 4th chapter, that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem. That's the land who nursed you. For when she saw the wrath of the Most High coming upon you, she said, hearken, O ye that dwell about Zion, listen. And you know what the Most High said? Listen to his voice. The Most High have brought upon me great mourning. For I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them, because we didn't follow his laws, statutes, commandments. Point blank. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. How much we gotta weep and mourn before we realize, man, we offend the Most High. That's what he said in Hosea 5:15, I'm gonna go to my place until they acknowledge their offense and seek my face, because he turned his face away from us. In our affliction, he said, we're going to seek him early. How much we got to be afflicted before we seek him and realize how we have offended him over and over and over again. And all he says is just do what I say do. He just told you that in 1 John 5:3, his commandments are not grievous. It ain't sad to do what's right. When you start doing what's right, you don't supposed to feel so bad about doing what's right unless you wicked. You deserve the wrath of the Most High. That's what's coming on the wicked. Verse 10 say, for I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. Let no man rejoice over me, a widow, this is the land saying, and forsaken of many. That land is desolate over there, y'all. Our land is so vast beyond imagination, beyond what they're showing you, the land of Israel there. Who for the sins of my children am left desolate. The sins, what sin? The transgression of the Most High's laws that you say we ain't under. Is the land desolate over there, because they departed from the law of the Most High that you say we not under. We in captivity, slavery, and bondage. Why? Because in the land and kicked us out. The Most High moved us from our land because we departed from the law of the Most High. What y'all got to say about that? I'm talking you pork chop eating preachers, you secular church preachers, all these different religions. They knew not his statutes, nor walked in the ways of his commandments, nor trod in the paths of discipline in his righteousness, which we know is keeping of the commandments of the Most High without a shadow of a doubt. Wisdom of Solomon 12. Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter. We're going to look at verse 1. Wisdom of Solomon.